I know you're listening. You're here because something isn't right. Something feels twisted, upside down. Things don't add up. Hello, human. Welcome to our twisted universe. Today we'll be talking with former dentist Paul Benton, discussing his miraculous ET healing experience.
Hi, and welcome to our Twisted Universe. Today we're going to be speaking with Paul Benton. He is an ET contact experiencer, and he's had several years with ET contact. We're very happy to have him today. Hi, and welcome, Paul.
Hi, Christy. Hi, Joe.
Hi.
Thanks for having me on.
We're so happy to have you on. You have an incredible story to share.
Thank you.
So let's start at the beginning. You said that your first contact was way back.
Right. We were just out of high school, and a friend and myself were up in the mountains in Oregon. And we were watching this light go across a ridge, a canyon away from us. And it came across, and then it went zip and disappeared at the speed of light. And we were like, first we thought that was kind of a strange place for an airplane to be. But when it did that U-turn or that 90-degree turn and take off, we said, we don't have anything that can do that, as far as I know, as technology. And so that really got my attention. And that was been the first thing that I remember and recognize it as a experience that was completely unexplainable. So
There's
at least in our
sightings
terminology.
out there in Oregon. Were you seeing UFOs after that regularly, or were you watching the skies?
I was watching the sky, but I didn't see anything on a regular basis, Christy. It was just that one event, but it got my attention. And so I realized that there's something else going on that, and I knew at that time that there was nothing in our news or what was the information that was put out on what we would call UFOs was completely limited and totally ignored. It's like they don't exist, they never will, we're the only ones in the universe, so forget it.
Yeah.
And that experience told me that something else was true. But it took that kind of an experience to shift me into that belief.
I kind of felt like Roswell started off a lot of curiosity for a lot of people. When was that Roswell sighting?
47? Yeah, 1947. Well, I'd heard about Roswell, and but not, at that time it was, like, I don't know what that is. And of course, the information that was put out first, it was said that there was something, and then immediately it was hushed up and said that, of course, it was a weather balloon. And
right.
I didn't believe that. I had my doubts about certain information that was put out even at that time.
I grew up in the Portland, Oregon area, and I don't remember the exact year, but it was like the mid 1970s. Half the city saw something floating over a mountain in the middle of, it's really more of a hill called Mount Tabor in the middle of Portland.
Right.
And it was hovering over the reservoirs there. It was like an orange ball. And I remember running out in the yard to see it because my dad and I were CB radio fans. So the
Perfect.
radio was going crazy with people talking about it, trying to figure out what it was. And you could see it kind of going up and down. And then it took off like that too. And it was even on the news the next day, I believe. There's an article in the paper, I think.
Another weather balloon?
Yeah, it was just a weather balloon. It goes faster.
High speed. It was one of the high speed ones.
Yeah, the high speed weather balloons.
So this encounter that you were sharing with us, you said you were a dentist. You were a practicing dentist.
Right. After high school, I went to University of Oregon Health Sciences Center. That was after graduated from Oregon State with a general science degree and in pre-med, and then went into dental school and got out of dental school in 1976 with a degree in dentistry. So I was a doctor of dental medicine.
And so take us to the time where you had the experience.
Okay, but this is about 3 years after I graduated. I had my own private practice in the same town I had grown up in, Hood River, Oregon. And one day I had an incredibly bad headache, and I don't get headaches, so I sent my staff home, closed up the office, locked the doors, and turned off the lights. And I laid down in my dental chair to see if I could get this headache to go away before I drove home. And so I was there, and then the next thing I remember, I was awakened by two individuals in my office, in my operatory, and they were standing on either side of me behind my dental chair. And it was kind of unusual because I had locked the doors and turned out the lights, and so there shouldn't be anyone else in there but me. So I was
Startled?
I don't normally have extra people coming walking through and stuff at that point. So it was shocking to a point, but immediately they put my interest to rest, or my concern to rest. They said, "We noticed you have a headache." Well,
That's an odd thing to come in, show up and know you had a headache.
it was an odd conversation starter, right? So I said, "Yes, I do, a very, very bad headache." Anyway, so they proceeded to produce a device that was about this long and about that big around, and was little gadgets and stuff on it. And I could see this out of the side. One was on my right side who had the device, and there was another one behind me on my left side. Now, this is a dental chair. I was laying back in my dental chair, so I didn't get a real good look at these individuals. The only light in the operatory was coming through the window from the street, so it wasn't well lit at this point. And so I said, I have this really bad headache. And they said, okay. So they did something with the device, and they moved it over my head back and forth one more time across. And they said, oh, the reason you have a headache is because you have a brain tumor. Well, here I am just in a young doctor in practice. And it was like, what? That was the worst information I could have received from those guys, not knowing who they were or what was going on. So I said, "Oh, that's horrible. I'm just a young dentist. I'm just starting my practice, and that's all I need is a brain tumor."
Right.
So they indicated to me, and I don't know if they were speaking English or if this was mental telepathy. I don't know, because to me it was coming through in English, but I don't know what actually the communication was. So they did something to this device. They said, okay, and then they moved it over my head back and forth again 3 times. And they said, there. And at that time, the headache just faded away, just completely disappeared. They said, there, it's gone. And I'm like incredulous. It's like, what just happened? And so I started talking to them, and I says, what is that device? And they say, well, this is just something that we have. It's a technology that we have. And so as a medical professional, I said, where can I get one of those? That's an incredible device. Because I was thinking all kinds of ideas. If you can cure a brain tumor that fast, first identify what it is and then cure it in that speed, I could think of thousands of uses for it on the planet, and just in the general population.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
they said, well, we'll send you one. And I'm going like, oh, that's great, and I says, well, where do you live? And they pointed straight up, and I'm on the top floor of a 3-story building. Actually, it's 2 stories in a basement, but it's 3 stories, and there's nothing above us except dark sky. So this was at night, and nothing there. And then, so the headache's gone, and that's all I remember. The next thing I remember, I'm waking up again. The office is still completely locked up. The individuals are gone. The headache's gone. And I'm left with this question, like, what just happened? And what is that? But they said that they would send me one. So I took them at their word. And I kept, checking the UPS and, mail services and stuff. Still never showed up. To this day, it hasn't showed up, personally sent to me. Well, in the meantime, that got my attention to a point where I decided I would change my career from dentistry to whatever this technology was that could diagnose and cure brain tumors in a matter of just minutes or seconds. And so I decided I would change my career and go study computers, because I thought it was the only thing that I could think of at that time. And that was 1979. That was 10 years later than my first experience with anything ET. And so I put my practice on hold and went to the University in San Francisco to study computers. It was Control Data Institute was the name of the company. And I thought, well, if I can understand computers better and learn how to program and things like that, maybe I can get some answers to what's going on there. So I did that, but I still haven't received any information about that particular technology. However, I do believe that this technology is on the planet, that we do have it, and certain people have access to it, and I don't. And I don't think many people that are on this interview have that technology or have it available.
I could think of a lot of things I would do with it too.
Yeah. So I'm still waiting for that, but there is information that has come through that we do have certain ET technology on the planet that does work with healing. And so I'm waiting for that actually to come together and be able to utilize this, because it's a very, very powerful technology. There was not invasive at all. There was no surgery. There was no probing and deep, nothing. It was completely innocuous. So I thought that was really, really good technology.
You know, that's interesting. I just watched an interview with Tony Robbins and the trainer from The Biggest Loser, what was her name? The girl, Jillian. They were talking, and he said there was a device where somebody with Parkinson's went in, and it was basically like a 2-second laser zap and cured her Parkinson's.
Whoa.
They were like, here, grab the glass. And she was able, instead of shaking, was able to pick up the glass immediately. She was even a little afraid to grab the glass, but she grabbed it and had full control of her body instantly after the procedure. And now she's riding bikes and living her best life. And you know, I don't know that Parkinson was curable, but he said this woman, Tony Robbins, on an interview, said this woman was cured from it with just a quick little zap. And I'm just wondering, you know, there's a lot of talk of med beds. I'm wondering if they're going to bring them forward and share that technology with us.
Well, that was the technology I was speaking of, that rumors have been that these med beds can actually cure a lot of diseases and things. So I think it's a similar technology. That's why I said I believe that technology is on the planet, but we haven't had access to it as just regular citizens yet.
You came from a scientific background. Did the supernatural experience you had, I mean, how did that change you, or how did you perceive it? Did you perceive it as technology, or did you perceive it as something different than that?
Well, I perceived it as technology. By the time after my dental practice, I went into medical applications of computers. And one of the things that we were working with was something called DigiRay, which is an X-ray that goes deep into the body and reveals all kinds of information. I never did follow that through the process, but I did do that. And in the same time, I started studying different types of technologies or modalities that worked with energy healing, because I figured that must be what it is in the arena of working with medicine, either to read the energy that is given off by abnormal cells and then reversing that energy. So that was the path I was going down. And in the meantime, I actually took up the practice of Tai Chi and studied a number of other modalities of body healing, energetic body healing. Reiki, some people may be familiar with Reiki, and there's several others that I studied. I even was in Hawaii for 1 year and studied the Hona Hona stuff that they do there. Lomi, excuse me, Lomi. Yeah, the Hunas practice Lomi. And I also learned at that point is that they said that they worked with energy at short distances, but they could heal or kill with energy through the sound frequencies. So that was really intriguing.
I had a question back to your experience when they passed the device over your head. Was there any kind of sound or a sensation or anything associated with it?
No, as far as I could tell, there was no sound, and as far as I could tell, there was no sensation except going from a splitting headache to none. That would have been the shift that happened. And so the sensation was basically one of complete disappearance of a very, very bad headache.
That's fascinating.
Did it look like a lightsaber? Did it light up, or was it a flat?
As far as I know, it didn't light up. It was over the show, back and forth over my head, and I could see it at briefly at this distance. Same thing. I didn't see these individuals clearly to tell what they were or who they were. But I was quite surprised by them being in my laboratory through a closed door. Yeah, that was amazing. So that all I was left with is, okay, it's gone. The headache is gone. They say that there was a tumor. The tumor's gone, and that really got my attention and my interest.
So, I mean, these two beings showed up and virtually saved your life. I mean, they cured you of this brain tumor. And how has that changed your course besides studying computers? What else has happened since then?
Well, I've also looked into all kinds of different healing modalities, like I was saying, that had anything that had to do with energy, frequency, sound, light, all of those modalities, to see if there was anything that was even remotely similar to what I had experienced, so that I could follow that path and get more information by following that. And there's a lot of sound healing situations. Also light therapy used for healing, but nothing that came across was anywhere near as fast as what had happened to me. And so I thought, this is incredible technology. Anyway, yes, I was completely amazed. But I was on that path. I was searching for what could possibly do this, and how could we use this? How could we get it on the planet? Because lots of people suffer with all kinds of tumors and and even migraine headaches and different things like that. So I thought this would be a very, very good addition to our medical system here on the planet.
I wish we could demand proof of it. I mean, let's have them already.
That's something I've noticed too, is like we've studied some of the healing modalities too, and their effects are very subtle. If sometimes they're just generally barely perceptible as to the long-term effect, and that sounds like it was a profound effect immediately.
Yes, Joe, that's what is different from, like I said, I studied Reiki and other modalities of hands-on healing, and they all take time. They're not immediate. The best I've ever done is one that would relieve some pain or some things like that, but it always took a few minutes or maybe half an hour. So there's nothing that I could experience that I could share that was anywhere near that fast.
Yeah, I've experienced the one I had was I experimented with Qigong, and I was able to, like, I have arthritis in my hands and my feet, and sometimes it gets pretty painful, and I was able to subdue it, but it took like an hour of concentrated practice, and it's more of a internal practice than something like that, where it's almost like the device amplified their healing capabilities or something.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you say Qigong, because I studied Tai Chi starting in 1986, not long after this situation, and still practice it, and I taught it for a number of years, because I thought, well, that's an avenue that does have that. And of course, Tai Chi and Qigong are intimately connected there.
I'm going to give you a tough one.
Thank you, Christy.
So why you, Paul? Why did they come to your office and heal your ailment? Why do you think they showed up for you?
I don't have a good answer for that, Christy. I did have a situation that I was experiencing. Somehow they picked up on that, and it may be that they figured out that this was a person that was suffering, and if they did something really amazing, it might get out to the general public that way. Of course, at that time, see, I'm in a small town. I told no one about this for years, because it was one of those experiences that it's like, it's there, it's mine. I'm the only one that was in the office, so I have not even backup confirmation of that, other than that when I sent my staff home, I had a horrible headache, and the next day I didn't. And then that's not much of a proof if you want to talk about removal of some kind of anomaly.
No, and it's not an easy conversation to have with people, especially if they haven't had unusual experiences. It's hard for them to even comprehend what happened.
Yeah, the social stigmas kind of get in the way.
Absolutely. In 1979, if you came out and said, you know, I had this experience last night with these ETs, I would have not had any practice within a very short
No.
time.
No, I don't imagine you would.
So I didn't tell anyone. That's why. And
So
but it
what's
happened. I will swear that it happened, and I know now that the technology is on the planet, which gives me validation that no, I'm not nuts. That actually I did experience something very dramatic, and that technology is very, very powerful. And it's time that it's released to the public here on this planet.
I
So
know.
that's,
Long overdue.
yes. Well, I believe it's been here for years, probably since the time that I had my experience, you know, in 79. So what is that, 20, 40, 42 years? Anyway, 43 years? Yeah.
That's amazing. I guess I was just wondering, where has your life taken you? It seems like you've done a lot of research and healing, and you've done some research with computers. And have you have anything coming up in the future that you're working on?
Not at this moment. I'm retired. Of course, I was. My whole practice series was through a while ago, and so I am now just a private citizen working, finding out information. I go to UFO conferences to see what's going on there. Anything that's in the ET related field, trying again to find out what I can. And also, my wife Mika, who you'll meet in a little bit here, is writing our experiences down, her story, my story, and how we came together, and that whole story. And that's very much intertwined with the story that I just gave you.
Have you ever in your travels met anybody that had a similar experience to you?
Not like that. I did meet one person at one of the conferences. We had an experience in a room, and this other person said that they had a similar experience, not quite exactly the same, but that they had a disease and that it had been cured by a visit from ETs. And they thought that they'd been taken on a ship and it was cured. But again, there's no proof. It was an individual, again, but they collaborated my experience by saying that they had something similar, not the same, but similar. And it wasn't as early as my experience. This was later in the 80s.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for sharing this. And I'm sure there's going to be other people out there watching this video that may have similar experiences or something they'd want to share. Is there any information you'd like to leave for contact?
My wife will actually give some contact information when we do that. We have actually come out with talking to people about our experiences and have had several small group meetings, also shared at some conferences in small group. And what really happened that was the amazing way that this happened is we met Travis Walton, who people may know was the person in Fire in the Sky, the individual that was taken up and was gone for 5 days and then came back. And he thinks that he was healed while he was on the craft and then put back on the street not far from his, in his hometown. So when we heard his story and we watched the Fire in the Sky symposium that they had, which also came out with his actual story, not the Hollywood version, but his actual version. And so we had talked with him, and as soon as we saw that was going on, my wife and I said, you know what, if he can do it, and he was very grounded, very incredibly impressive individual. And if he can do it and share his experiences, then we can share ours. So I'll leave it there for my wife, Mika, to carry on with her story if you wish to talk with her.
Yes, we
Okay,
do.
yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
You are very, very welcome. If there's any questions, you can get to us through, Mika will give you information on where you can reach us on that.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to share that. Again, the whole purpose of this is to get this information out, and hopefully we will have this technology available for everyone to use all over the world. And that's my highest wish at this point. So thank you very much
for
your
movement.
That's a good
yes. It's going. It is going. Thank you very much.
People.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you for watching. Come back soon for more great videos on strange and unusual topics, psychics, hauntings, energy healing, UFOs, entities, and other twisted shenanigans. Keep listening for a short clearing prayer.
We welcome all higher dimensional beings, archangels, and spirit guides in love and light. We speak to you from our heart to the Creator being. We are shrouded in light and love and are protected. We release any attachments or agreements that are not in our highest good and greatest good. We ask you to go in peace. The Creator welcomes you. You are healed and forgiven, lifted and enlightened. You are healed and forgiven, lifted and enlightened. You are surrounded with the Creator's light and love, safe to leave and ascend to your highest good. We ask the divine beings to help you move into your perfect place. Go in peace and love.